Hello everyone, and welcome to Session 5 of Star Trek Lesser Halls, a Lower Decks inspired game of Star Trek Adventures. If this is your first time joining us, hello, I'm ELH the Game Master, and joining me are some lovely Trekkies and role players. We'll get to them in a moment. I think I only really have one announcement, and that is that tomorrow's stream is going to be pushed back by about 2-3 hours because I've got a thing that cropped up. Not a bad thing, but a thing that I can't talk about quite yet. So just know that if you are looking for my stream tomorrow, it's going to be a little bit late. But yeah, I think with that, let's just let everyone introduce themselves. Then we can get this party started. So, Drill, if you want to go first.
Hi, I'm Drill or Drillian. I play Ensign Keela, engineering. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get in full makeup, but I finally got my shirt, so now we match.
Love it.
Oh, I'm
Cardi?
Pete. Yeah, I play Shrez. Uh, I haven't got the background of get my head things working yet, so I'll get them hopefully in the future too. So, but I'm still not painting my face blue. Too much effort.
Fair enough.
And I'm C4A, and I play Ensign Gemma Solaris, the Zabolian engineer.
Very nice. All right, so normally we do an opening log, but I thought we'd mix up the formula a little bit, and I'm actually going to handle the opening narration. So we start kind of doing that classic sort of shift around the stars, where you see a star field, and it just moves just enough that we see the USS Phoenix, one of the repair ships in the Babylon fleet, where the characters are stationed. It kind of looks like a almost like a sled if the back half of where you would sit on the sled has been cut off and you kind of just have the rails. But the reason I say that is because from a tractor beam emitter on the back half of the quote-unquote sled portion is a very powerful tractor beam currently towing a Tholian vessel. Now, this Tholian vessel looks somewhat like a beetle, if you will, where it kind of has 2 or 3 segments. It has a large thorax, like sort of angled in the back, where it's not quite curves as it is multiple hexagons that have been arranged in sort of a trapezoidal fashion. And you see that the lights on the Tholian vessel have been going on and off. They're flickering at random intervals. And you also notice that as we sort of zoom in on the Phoenix, that something is, how to say this properly, something is messing with the tractor beam, but it's not something to worry about. It's like something with the Tholian hull is causing a problem. In any event, as we get into the Phoenix proper, we kind of go towards the back of the ship, where we emerge into a very special Jeffries tube, where the players are now setting up their quote-unquote special place that they discovered at the end of last session. So, I would like to know from each of you, how have you personalized this space, if at all?
Well, Keela would definitely have her own little section that is very plush. Maybe something akin to those love sacks, the big just poofs that you sit in. But more flat and kind of with edges. And then beside it, it kind of extends a little longer than she needs, but that's where TM settles in and has their little section. And she's got like food bowl and water there for TM, just snacky stuff, because there would be food there too in case they're there for a super long time for whatever reason. And then she'd probably have some snacks stowed away somewhere in there. She probably found another nook in her plush somewhere, safe, not for bugs and stuff, but like she's got her own little setup. She's got everything that she needs there.
Home away from home, as it were.
Yes.
I can help you with that storage because Solaris would have put cubbies that are named.
Nice.
Everybody has their own because everything has a place.
Yes.
And
Keela would honor that. She would follow your lead there.
Sure, thank you. And,
Mine has cubbies inside the cubbies.
Sure. And perhaps like an extra, I don't know, shelving area that she can work on little knickknacks and whatnot. I think perhaps that they would have whatever the equivalent of like fairy lights also kind of strung around.
Aesthetic.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Love it. And what about Thriller? What's Thriller done with the space?
Mine's all research. It's a little version, like a miniature, like probably the hologram's like this big, but it's a little researching similar to what they have in Voyager, that hologram setup program section. It's like that, and then I'm always programming, and the little hologram of me, Thriller. Every now and again you see it change temporary to somebody else, maybe a randomly generated thing, but it always defaults back to me, and every time I see it I swear, I can't get this thing to not look like me. I'm just programming up, I'm doing a project, and if you ask, I say it's a project, you'll find out later.
Love it.
Love it. So yeah, you all know that eventually you are going to be asked to go over to the Tholian ship, which for everybody at home and for the players, it is known as the TV Okrum, O-K-R-U-M, and the TV, of course, corresponds to Tholian vessel. But for the moment, you all are relaxing, enjoying your space, when the sort of hatch that leads down from where you are now, there's a chime at the door, quote unquote, as somebody asks to enter your space.
Come in.
Come on in.
All right. So the hatch opens up by receding into the floor, and poking his head up is Commander Baker, this time in uniform, and he kind of looks around and goes, "Well, hello there. You've quite done a number on this place. I quite like what you've... Yeah, this is very nice."
Thank you, Commander.
Well, I came down here because I wanted to see if you all were ready to go over to the Oak Room quite yet. You are going to be expected in about 20 minutes, so wanted to give you a heads up personally. Also, I did kind of want to see, because Cole was making it out like you guys had set up like 3 holodecks in here, and I was very curious.
Still a work in progress, but I do have that finished request for you, sir.
And he raises an eyebrow. Oh. Oh. And he like does the kid thing where he like reaches out eagerly for it.
She'll hand it over very carefully and be like, I've made sure that it's a low setting, but it can still, and you can see a few scratch marks in like in the side, and fairy lights are trying to cover that. Is that you just be careful with it.
And he takes it, and he doesn't swing it around violently or anything. He just kind of gives it a small flick, and he goes, "This is good work. I like that. Yes, you know what? Yes, you know how everybody on the ship likes to do Parisi squares. We're gonna bring back lightsaber duels. Is what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do."
Excellent. Put me on the roster.
Done in a heartbeat. And he deactivates it, puts it on his belt, and says, "One other thing about the Okrum. I think you probably already know this, but when you go over there, try not to make any major waves. We're on somewhat good terms with the Tholians, which is why we were even asked to come help and assist. But don't cause a diplomatic incident if you can help it."
Absolutely, sir.
Very good. And then Baker takes one more look around, nods, and descends the ladder, and the hatch closes once more.
All right.
Eva is starting to look a little stressed because she's like, politics. Now she's panicked that she's going to do something wrong and set everyone off.
We'll be fine.
I'm guessing we have to get into the suits to go over there. Yep.
I mean, unless you can tolerate 480 Kelvin just naturally, in which case,
Yeah.
I'd say go for it.
Don't forget your SPF.
It's an Andorian, I could barely handle human temperature.
Mm.
So yeah, another sort of customization option I'd like to throw at you guys is you would have your own EV suits by this point, because I think there's probably one for everybody on the ship at the very least. And I'm just curious if any of you have made any modifications or accessory addition to your suits.
Um,
Boosted the signal for communications
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
I think I've definitely adapted the because of the temperatures, the temperature control, so it's a nice cool Andorian day.
I've also recalibrated the sensors for fingertips, so it's easier to work on touch screens and to grab objects and whatnot.
Me, Holo interface comes out. Yeah.
Nice.
Kilo would probably have done some very minor, like maybe tailoring to make it more cutesy, I guess, more feminine, feminine, to match her personality. And then the rest of her time, she probably would have gone into making a suit for TM.
Fair enough.
If she was successful.
We'll say for sake of argument that, yeah, if TM wants to come along, you guys can bring TM, not an issue. But as you all get suited up and you proceed to the transporter room, currently manning the transporter is someone that you would remember at least from the party, if nothing else. But CPO Jensen is currently behind the transporter room control panel, and he's kind of rubbing his head, and he kind of squints at you all as you walk in and goes, "Oh, right, yeah, I gotta transport you three over. Ensign Solaris, are those sunglasses I see you wearing?"
That would be correct.
Okay, good. I didn't know if that was a hangover hallucination or not. Okay.
No,
All right.
not at all.
Excellent. All right. Well, you know the drill. Get on the pad. I do the thing. You go over there, etc., etc.
Aye, sir. And then she'll walk over onto the pad. TM trotting behind her.
All right. Well, unless anybody lingers, you step onto the pad. Jensen kind of does that sweeping motion up with his hands. You dematerialize, and then you rematerialize within the Tholian vessel. Now, I've actually got a little bit of visual aid for the players here, but I will again do my best to describe it for those listening via podcast. But basically, the interior of the Tholian vessel continues sort of the hexagonal pattern and geometric shapes in terms of design, where the space you beam into is essentially not quite a sphere, but basically concentric hexagons that have been overlaid over one another to form a sphere-like object or a ball-like object. On each of the 6 walls, or is it 7 walls? 7 or 8 walls that sort of border the space, where you would normally hang like paintings or displays, there's actually a trapezoidal prism that is displaying a large variety of information and a large variety of different readouts, not just about the ship, but also about patients. And what you notice is that there are Tholians not just on the floor where you've beamed in, but they are quite literally on the walls and even the ceiling as well at various stations. Now, for those who don't know what a Tholian looks like, I will again do my best to describe it, but a Tholian is basically a crystalline spider. They have 6 thin legs. That means they can go pretty much in any direction pretty quickly. They have somewhat sort of a knee and ankle joint along those legs. At the end of each leg is a multi-toed foot, and each of the legs is sort of attached at the torso and is symmetric in fashion. So almost think of like a Drider from D&D, or maybe even a Centaur, where the lower half is symmetrical, and that's where sort of all those spider-like legs are coming out. The body above that is vaguely humanoid, in that there's 2 arms and multiple joints and what's basically a neck and a head. But what really sort of stands out to anyone looking at a Tholian are these 2 glowing-like eyes, which are they actually eyes, or if they are just sensory organs, that's never been made clear. but they kind of look whenever they're talking to someone. Those eye-like structures sort of shift to look at you. The other thing I need to say before I stop my little monologue is that even in the EV suit, and even Thriller, I think, even with your special modifications, it is hot. To sort of give a ballpark temperature, we're looking at about 480 Kelvin, which quick math says 207 Celsius and around 403, 404 Fahrenheit. So it's very, very hot in here, but it's not bright. And I think that's the key distinction, where it's not bright, it's just hot is what it is. But yeah, as you all beam in, a Tholian, blue and crystal color, trots up to you all and says, and let me actually do my voice for this one. Hello, my name is Lieutenant Lacine. I understand that you are from the USS Phoenix and are here to assist.
That's right. How can we help you?
Well, we have a variety of problems that need some assistance. In particular, we are experiencing temperature drop in Ward 4.
Well, that's not good.
Very not good.
Have you evacuated patients into other wards?
Unfortunately, we do not have additional wards that we can move them to. Therefore, it is important that this be handled first.
Okay.
We'll get right on it. Will you lead us to the consoles? Or the
So
healing?
they don't nod, but they kind of give a little bit of a chitter before turning 180 degrees, and they start to walk towards a wall. But it's one of those things where it's not like the wall opening up or a door appearing. They literally start to walk on the wall, almost like that scene in Inception where they go between like the 90-degree shift, but they kind of crawl up the wall and pause just long enough to see if you all are following.
Is that wall magnetic?
One way to find out.
All right.
Keela
the
would go
magnetic
right on and
boots.
try it.
Let's go.
So yeah, when you activate your maglev boots, they do stick to the floor, and it's interesting because when you sort of give a tentative step and test the gravity shift, the gravity moves with you. So there's a moment of limbo, a little bit of vertigo as you do switch between floor and wall, but as soon as you're on the wall, it is the new floor, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah. So you do this trick about 2 or 3 more times as you're led through hexagonal-shaped corridors and hexagonal, not quite Jeffrey's tubes, but sort of cramped spaces. But eventually you emerge into what is essentially the Tholian ward, the Tholian equivalent of like a hospital ship. And what you see is that instead of like beds like you would find in, say, the Federation or even in sickbay, what you see is a large variety of what are basically hexagonal canisters or support tubes. Now these tubes you can see through them. They're crystalline in nature, but you can see through them. And they are all packed. There's about 20 of them in this ward. They are all packed with Tholians that have fractures on their crystalline nature across their bodies, as it were. And the reason for that is very apparent, because as you look at your tricorders, as you look at your EV suits, the temperature in this ward is about 370 Kelvin, or 100 less Kelvin than what Tholian should have to live. But as you're led in, Leslie kind of turns to you all and says, "This is the ward. I am here to provide any knowledge that you require. However, we will rely on your engineering expertise for this."
You have a bit of a shiver. Ooh, clean here.
Keela will immediately start scanning with her tricorder to see where the source of the problem would be.
Okay, very good way to start the roll. If you can give me a reason engineering difficulty of 2, please. Let's double check your focuses, but I'm pretty sure you've got one that applies. I would give you Starship Construction on this one.
Okay.
All right, so that is 1 success. So I'm going to let it succeed, but at a cost. And what you see before the complication comes in is that it's a very simple fix, or it should be a very simple fix, in that the environmental systems, I'm trying to think of a real world analog here real quick, but for those of you that have owned a home or an apartment, you know those air vents in the ceilings or those air vents in the wall that you have to change the filter on every so often? It's a very similar situation to that, where you basically have to, quote unquote, change the filter. But here's the complication. The complication is that it's in a space that does not have gravity or maglev, and it's like on a wall about 2.5 stories up. And the other bit of the complication, because I'll spend 2 threat because I think this is interesting, Keela, when you go to confirm this with your tricorder actually sputters, and due to the heat, begins to malfunction.
So, guys, I found the problem. It's up there, but my tricorder stopped working, and I'm kind of worried that our tools will stop working.
Okay, I'll make a note to modify that when we get back to our ship. Okay.
How are we gonna get up there?
Magnet boots.
I thought
I don't
said
think
you
that's
couldn't
an
use magnet
option.
boots.
Oh, that's right.
I go to the Tholian. How much can you carry?
So Leslie looks at you all, kind of tilts its head a little bit to the side and goes, I could not carry one of you.
Do you have any machinery that could lift us up there? Because our tech at the moment, unless we go back to the ship, is inadequate.
Or anything that could be a makeshift cable harness.
Yeah.
So Leslie again kind of tilts that head to the other side this time and goes over to the wall and just walks up it like it's nothing and goes, I do not understand the problem.
So Keela will walk over and do the same thing, obviously showing that she cannot walk up the wall.
Okay, yeah, and if you'll remember a little bit of flavor, when you go to, shift your weight onto the wall, you maybe like start to fall backwards, but you catch yourself very easily.
Yeah. Her foot slides off the wall because it's not sticking there, and she'll be like...
And I think Leslie kind of looks at that, and it's almost like a cicada chitter, but your universal translator would tell you it's like laughter. And the Tholian says, interesting, you lack the ability to use your feet to climb like we do. Well,
yes,
that's correct.
I can say that we do not have any harnesses. However, there are a number of medical supplies that you might be able to repurpose for this instance.
I'll
We
take
could
a look.
also probably get some stuff teleported in if we need to.
Or that.
Actually, let's do that. Who am I trying to contact?
Now, I was gonna say, who are you calling is the question.
Well, Jensen's probably at the teleporter, so Shreds to Jensen.
And Chief Jensen kind of goes, yeah, what's up, Ensign?
We require some climbing gear, like ropes and harnesses. Would you be able to teleport some over to us?
I'm sorry, say again, you need climbing implements?
Mhm.
Yes. The Tholians can walk on walls. However, we lack that ability.
Okay, I mean that... how many do you need? Do you need like 1, 2, 3?
It's a simple job.
Yes.
Maybe just one.
Just okay,
3?
1.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me a
Let's
moment.
get 2 just in case.
2. Okay,
You
2.
can.
All right. It'll be there shortly. Jensen out.
Cool.
And you wait like maybe a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You're starting to wonder what happened to Jensen. 4 minutes pass. You are starting to contemplate maybe tapping your comm badge. 5 minutes pass, and finally, heat-treated, heat-weathered climbing equipment beams in next to Ensign Thriller.
Nice.
Labeled that. Why did it take so long? Anyway.
I think they had to heat treat it,
Mm,
which I forgot to mention, but it's good that they did it.
yeah,
Ugh.
I guess.
All right. Well, we can get the Tholian friend here to at least attach it to the top so we can go up there. Who's not afraid of heights?
I'll go.
It's all right. I'll stay from. I'm fine too, but I'll stay down here to make sure things are good from down here.
All right. So Leslie will, of course, very happily and almost amused, again chittering like a cicada, will attach your rope to part of the ceiling, allowing you to climb up the wall, as it were. But between Keela and Solaris, I have to ask a very important question. And this isn't something where it's like a focus, but more just your backstory. Have either of you ever gone rock climbing before?
Ooh. I need to check my.
And it can be one of those things where you can make it up. There is no right or wrong answer here.
I would say that Keela would. I would say she's been desensitized to heights because she's climbed into engines and stuff, which is why she wasn't scared to like go up, because I think she's, depending on the engine, but I think she's climbed up engines to fix them. Okay. So yeah. I guess you can consider that rock climbing.
I'd say since Gemma grew up Starship Starbase wise, she would have similar like that, like makeshift climbing wall, not necessarily rock per se, but
okay. Well, and don't take this the wrong way, but what I would tell you is that you're going to need 2 people to act as counterweight and tension on the rope. So I'll let you all decide who's staying to be tension and who's actually going on the rope.
I'll be tension.
Well, it would need to be 1 person per.
Well, Keela can stay down if Solaris wants to go up.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, Keela and Thriller, you basically dig your boots in best you can. You maybe loop over your arm the rope and provide tension. As Solaris, you get hooked up. So Solaris, I'm going to ask from you a fitness and a con at a difficulty of 1 to represent you getting up to where the filter is located.
Trying to see if I have a focus on this.
Take a look, because it has been a little bit. I would say I could give you observation, maybe.
Okay. Con. 2 dice.
Survey says. Okay. All right. That's your 1 success that you need. So yeah, Solaris. Yeah, your climbing expertise, your climbing experience. You use the tension in the rope along with little, not quite handholds, but sort of spots in the wall that you can get your fingers to grip onto something through the glove, and you climb up until you reach the filter. Now the filter is like everything else, and you're probably getting the thing, but at this point it's hexagonal. It's one of those things where you kind of have to push in to toggle the lock, and you push in and the grate opens up away from you. But inside, you see the problem for the jam. And I'm not going to go into great detail, but you know how Jello and basically goo, that sort of like non-Newtonian fluid type stuff where it just looks gross, the entire filter is covered in it.
So when you said jam, you meant literally.
Yep.
Yum. All right, holy strawberries, Batman. We're in a
Do you
jam.
try scanning it? Hopefully your device will last long enough to at least get some information.
Yeah, so she's like
Is it edible?
clinging on one hand and she's like trying to scan with the other, trying to be like, what exactly is this?
All right. So at this point, I'd like you to give me a reason in engineering. I'm actually going to make this a difficulty of 2 and make the complication range in 18 to 20 because, again, you are being suspended right now, and it is also a hot environment. So
I'm going to use my observation focus again.
Sure.
And if you want, we have one. I'm pretty sure we have one
momentum.
Use that.
Do you want me to?
Yeah. This sounds like an important thing to know.
Reason and engineering. Oh, yeah.
All right.
You can see the matrix in that.
Red pill, blue pill.
Mm-hmm. Hey, very nice. That's 3 successes, so you get the momentum right back. But before we forget, untap potential. Roll that challenge die.
It's been a while. How do I do that?
There's a
The
challenge
macro-
rest.
Yeah, I was gonna say
On
there
the
should
very
be
bottom.
There it
a
is.
button
There it
lower
is.
left. Yep.
And 1 dice.
All right, that actually gets you another point of momentum, so you're up to 2. Very nice. So, again, not going into great detail, but it looks like the equivalent of a targ, or something the size of a targ, a Klingon sort of beast that they eat on occasion. It got caught in the blades, as it were. So the jam, it's cooked targ, or the equivalent thereof.
Lovely. She'll call down her findings to the others.
Keela would be like, how did that get in there?
Okay, so is it legitimate, like literally up above us, or just set in the wall?
Set in the wall.
Okay, so like, could she? I don't know if she'd want to get in there, so she's no longer just being suspended.
There's not quite enough room for you to get in fully.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
there's enough for maybe a handhold or a foothold that you
Oh.
could rest some weight on.
Try to
But
reach in. Okay.
I would say you can maybe get a hand in, maybe about, let's say, trying to do math in my head here, maybe about 10 centimeters or almost a foot before you would end up touching the goo, as it were.
Okay. Is this, I guess, is this substance corrosive at all?
Not sure. But what I
mean,
would tell you is if you give me a momentum, I can answer that question truthfully.
Truthfully.
Yeah, I don't want to sizzle.
Okay.
All right.
So yes, the answer is it is corrosive, which is probably why the filter had a lot of problems getting rid of it. But I'll also give you this as a tidbit because you did spend the momentum. The Tholians should have easily figured this out. Like, this should have been something that the Tholians could have handled on their own. Like, this is a very basic fix, but something about this material must have made it invisible to Tholian sensors.
Make a note to make it so that the sensors can see it.
Okay, so I guess she would need to come down because she doesn't have any equipment to scoop it out and or remove it.
I would say very easy for you to belay back down.
All right, so what do we need to actually remove this stuff?
Is it just on the filter that we can take out and replace, or is it like everywhere?
I would say that there's maybe about cubic foot of goo you'd have to get rid of.
We sonic it?
Good.
All right.
I mean, we're in a good environment with sterile equipment. Probably have that somewhere around here.
Like we knew we had to deal with some, we'd already known about some of the stuff that we've had to deal with before we came in.
I would say that you would be
filter.
able to have brought over your engineering toolkits. So if there's something in your engineering toolkit that you would want to use, I'd allow it.
Okay. Yeah, it's like a cleaning device, like sonic cleaning, like the showers. But this is, we had to clean up a lot too, so I think we'd have one of those.
We
So
found
we can
enough
use that for the
coffee cups.
basics. Once we got a clear around the thing itself, we can take the actual filter out, and then we just need a replacement filter, which they probably would have.
Okay, so
They should have.
storage. Yeah.
Do you want me to go up this time and try it?
If you'd like to.
Okay.
You would be like, you okay with going up there?
Yeah.
I was meant to go to Andoria to do this climbing stuff, but I always put it off, so it'd be good to try.
Okay. Well, we've
Let's
got you down
go.
here.
All right. So I'm going to need Thriller to give me a fitness con difficulty of 1 to represent you going up there.
Okay. These aren't my great stats, so let's have a look. I definitely don't have any focuses on this. Unless Starfleet Protocol is one could work.
Hey, you just got a momentum from chat as well if you want to spend it.
Hey.
Thanks.
Yeah, why not? I'll use it.
Alright.
I have to go back and reset this. So it's fitness, con. Boom. Sorry, be fast. Boom, no focuses. Boom. Yay!
Right. Hey, that actually gets you momentum back. And if you want to roll your challenge dice for untapped potential.
Oh, no, it's
that gives
effect.
me threat. We'll take it. All right. So, yeah, Thriller, you get up there, no problem. You're actually handling it a lot better than you thought you would. It's not as perhaps scary as you were imagining it in your head. But when you get up there with the sonic cleaning device in hand, I like to imagine that maybe it's something like, and this is a little bit of out of character nonsense, but you know how like all the Starfleet phasers are all your like handheld nose trimmers or like beauty product kind of things. I like to imagine you basically have the equivalent of a handheld Dyson vacuum up there with you.
Nice.
But yeah, just to make sure I understand correctly, your intention is to sonic around so that you can pull the filter out, or are you sonicking the filter entirely, is the question.
No, I want to sonic around to clean up the areas around the filter so then I can take the filter out safely and then replace the filter.
Okay. With that, I'm going to require a control and an engineering at a difficulty of 3. And I'm also going to spend some threat to make the complication range in 18 to 20.
3. Okay. I'm gonna use a. Is that okay if I use a momentum?
Yeah.
We have 2. All right. So 3. Submit. Do I have any focuses on this?
Well, depends which one you want to try and use.
Well, I'm using somebody else's systems. I'm trying to figure out their systems. Could I use reverse engineering to like base it on stuff like that, or?
I'll give it to you. Why not?
I could also use. Okay. Hey,
All right, 3 successes across the board. Very nice. So, it's one of those things where as you hold the Dyson vacuum and you begin to trail it along the edge of the filter, it sort of emits a pleasant hum, and you see that the goo is beginning to harden and crack until you are able to like get a hand in behind the filter and pull it out. So my question is, once you've removed the filter, what are you doing with it? Because again,
Well,
you're up 2.5 stories with it.
we have 2 pulley systems, right?
At the moment, yes.
Got 2, so I could attach it to the other pulley system and then let them lower it down, and then raise the other one up, and then I could put that in.
Okay. So the only thing I'm going to say about this plan is remember you need 2 people or you risk sort of falling on, counterweight for you. Anyone that goes up needs 2 people as counterweight. It's not just you. I'm not picking on you.
Oh, really?
One.
Now, what I would tell you is you can leave one person on it. They would just have to make a roll. So really what it comes down to is 2 people, no roll required. 1 person, they have to roll to keep you up there and anchored, if that makes sense.
Right.
Another question.
Yes.
Should we have rolled untapped potential after that?
You should. Thank you for catching it.
Okay.
That wasn't my question, but I remembered it. Can TM, because it's not a person being lowered, can TM be the pulley for the filter?
Yes, why not? I like it. I like it a lot. Good thing you brought TM. So in that case, whoever wants to roll for TM, just roll me 2d20, and I'll handle all the math required. So
I can do it.
whoever feels like it.
So you got
2
another
8s
effect,
is
but
2 8s is 2 successes, so TM actually gets you a momentum as well.
Hey.
All right, so
Really?
TM kind of pulls on the rope, and Thriller, a harness sort of floats next to you in the air.
I place the the bad filter in there, making sure that the corrosive stuff does not hit the harness parts.
Okay.
So I
And
know you
again,
probably
no
do something.
complications, so it doesn't splatter anywhere. And then because TM succeeded, very carefully lowers the pulley, like kind of doing that dog thing where it like latches on and just pulls it back until the bad filter is now on the floor. However, when the bad filter touches the floor, Thriller up in the actual air vent or whatever you'd like to call the tunnel in which the filter was described. You hear something that sounds like almost like somebody's punching jello. So kind of a slick, sort of wet slapping noise, and it's getting louder and louder and louder.
I hear something. So it's in the vent.
Mm-hmm.
All right. When it gets to a certain loudness, I'm gonna try to just pull, like launch myself and just try to get onto the side of the vent.
Yeah, don't put your face in front of it.
No.
And with that complication that chat rolled, here's what's going to happen is, Thriller, you're only going to get hit by half of this, so you only get half of yourself out of the way. But a literal torrent of pinks and reds and blues comes streaming out of the vent. And again, hits half of you, so half of you is coated in the stuff. But the rest of it goes spilling onto the floor and actually touches some of the ropes so that the ropes begin to corrode. So, what I'm going to tell you is Thriller has 1 round before the rope is gone, and you are stuck up there or falling and taking some damage. So, how are you all going to deal with the situation?
Quickly let him down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, to be clear here, are you going to be more or less letting go and just stopping every so often so that he doesn't slam to the floor? Or are you still going to do it so that he doesn't have to make his check? Basically what I'm saying is, do you want to do the high difficulty roll, or do you want to split it so that you do a roll and then Thriller does a roll?
I was thinking like we just go like and let him down rather than him having time to jump, because we don't know when that thing's going to snap.
But we also don't want to go too fast or too slow because it could break.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, getting me down is probably going to take more than 1 round if I do it good. You guys are the mountain climbing people.
Yeah. Well, makeshift.
You guys let me down.
I think we should probably do it because he just needs
Yeah.
to hold on to whatever he can, and we'll let him down.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'll let you all decide who's taking the lead here, but you will assist each other on this. This is going to be a fitness and a con in this instance. And the difficulty will be a 3.
Okay, I have a 10 and 2.
Yeah, you're higher, so take it away.
Okay. Fitness, con.
You want to use a momentum?
Yeah, I'm gonna use a momentum. Can I use focus, escape, and avoidance?
Yeah, actually, it kind of applies, yeah.
Okay. So I'm rolling 3 dice, correct?
Correct.
Peace.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
bugger.
You got 1, which means Solaris can still assist you, but Solaris, in order to succeed here, you're gonna need to crit.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna break my legs.
Fitness and
We can fix that.
Yeah, no.
fitness and con. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
boy.
Fitness con, and you're rolling the 1 die for the assist.
1 die. I don't think I have a focus for this.
Unfortunately not.
No. R.I.P.
Okay.
Oh.
So here's
RIP.
what happens with only 2 successes. You
Perish.
do attempt to let him down in a rapid fashion, but not like super fast. But what happens is he gets maybe a story down, and then the rope snaps. And what I'm going to say is that I'm not going to actually deal any stress damage to you, Thriller, but the consequence of you falling to the ground and cracking, it's not you that cracks, it's your suit that cracks.
Oh,
So it's now beginning to vent in the very, very hot atmosphere into your suit.
Duct tape.
Emergency teleport.
I'm going to be mean, and I'm actually going to say that you do not get a comm out. Apparently, your suit's transmitter is malfunctioning now.
Okay,
Make a
Keela would
note
have
to work
also
on that.
immediately done that, and she would have been like, emergency transport for Thriller.
You
All right.
guys are learning some Andorian swear words right now.
Write that down.
So, I'm not going to be so mean that I'm going to require a roll for this, but basically, Thriller, you kind of are enveloped by that blue shimmering light, and you rematerialize back on the Phoenix. And while you're dealing with that and fixing your suit, what are Keela and Solaris doing? Because what I would say is that the amount of goo that came out of the vent before it stopped is enough that you could fit a mid-size SUV comfortably inside of it. So it's a lot of goo.
Keela will turn to what's the Tholian's name again?
Less lean.
Leslie. Okay. Keela will turn to Leslie and be like, "What are you putting in your filtration system?"
I am unsure what this substance is. We do not have it on record.
We need
Where-
to. Good.
I was gonna say, where is the trying to think of like what the source of like where that stuff would originate from in the system.
hub. That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking too.
Yeah. Where is your central hub for filtrating things?
That would be located 2 decks down. I would be happy to take you, but do you think it is safe to leave that open?
Looking up at the vent.
Well, there's no filter in there.
Oh, it's only gonna keep getting dirty unless we solve the problem. So, like the source of where it's coming from, because who knows how much more is in there.
Hmm.
So we can shut it and then go look at the originating source.
And Leslie starts to say something, but right about then, there's a gurgle from the goo on the floor. And I think everybody looks at the gurgle. And then the gurgle happens again. And like a living ooze, it begins to move and bubble and begins to literally lurch towards Keela and Solaris.
Yeah, Keela immediately shoots it.
Okay. All right, I figured. So, what type of weapon are you using? Are you using your phaser type 1?
I would say yes.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a control and a security difficulty of 2. And if you have handheld energy weapons as a focus,
I
that
do.
would definitely apply.
I do. Yes.
All right, there's your 2. So let me see. Type 2 is 2. So roll me 5 challenge dice here, please. And that is a sufficient. That's a very good shot. Very nice. So I'm going to say you rapidly pull out your phaser type 1. You squeeze off a shot. The goo is hit, and actually, kind of. I don't think there's a right word for this, but it's like someone, kind of that wiggly, jello-y nature of goo, and then it turns into just water, so it's just a liquid again. So it loses its consistency, I think is what I'm driving towards. And it stops moving and just sort of sits there on the ground as a puddle.
Ew.
It's alive. Well, not anymore, but
Huh. Clean up on aisle 3.
what happened to Shraz's Dyson vacuum?
Yeah. Right?
We'll say for sake of argument, it fell to the ground and it's somewhere off to the side now. Still works.
Keela will go and grab it and start going at this pile.
Can we? Well, while she's doing that, can Solaris scan? It's just like, is this I don't know the question per se, like an organic life form, or are there like nanotechnology inside it?
I love where your mind's at. Why don't you give me a insight in engineering, difficulty of 3.
And I'm gonna use my observation again. Insight. Engineering. Ah,
Yeah, not enough, unfortunately, with only the 2 successes. So I'm gonna say, wait, I want to give you something for it, but this seems very similar to something you remember reading, um, based on an old sort of slime interference with something on the Enterprise D, but you can't really remember the star date, and you can't really remember what was about that. You just know that something happened with goo like this on the Enterprise D.
note to self: reread my flashcards.
So, as we switch now to Thriller. So, Thriller, at this point, you could either have fixed or swapped out your EV suit. I'll leave it whether which you choose. But at this point, since there was an emergency beam out, your supervisor, your direct one anyway, Lieutenant Junior Grade Knack, is going to kind of walk in, and female Ferengi kind of looks at you in your suit and says, "Is everything quite all right? I understood there was an emergency beam out."
Yeah, nearly fixed up my suit. I was fixing up a filter system with some weird goo that was coming out of it, and all of a sudden it poured on me, and it ate through my suit a little bit.
Well,
Plus, I kind of fell a floor onto the
well, I'm
ground,
sure the
so-
two things combined is what resulted in this. But it is good that you are safe.
Yes.
Let us see. Let us see. Why don't you take this on your next trip over? And Knack produces another toolkit, but what you notice is that it is a medical toolkit this time. I took the liberty of modifying this tricorder to survive better in the atmosphere over there.
Well, this might do nicely. Awesome. Medical, that might work with all the goo stuff we found. So thank you very much. Good thinking.
Of course, happy to help. And be careful over there, Ensign. Do not be afraid to call for assistance.
Never will. No, will do. We'll always ask. All right. I think I'm ready to go.
All right. So, as we go back to Keela and Solaris, Thriller materializes next to you all with a new kit in hand. And I'm going to say, Keela, at this point, you've gotten rid of, we'll say, about half of the goo that remains.
All right.
You all right?
Yeah, seems okay. I've just fixed up the air system in my suit. I am feeling nice and cool. And I've been given this medical kit. I think this will good with the scan of the goo over there. So don't clear it all up yet. Ooh.
And Keela will like freeze mid sweep. She'll be like, "What?" Because she totally wasn't paying attention. She was in her groove.
Stop cleaning for a minute. Let's do a scan. Who's good at anyone got good medical knowledge? I think I was the only one. I got 2
I've
medicine.
got medical training.
I think we all have two.
Well, more than.
Never mind, I have one.
I have 2.
I lied.
Yeah, we both have 2.
Like, I have to.
She would have basic, but nothing more than that.
Well,
I'll-
you all can assist each other on this, but what I'm going to tell you is that this is going to be a reason medicine difficulty of 4.
My
All right.
reason is 11.
My reason's 10 with medicine 2.
I'm going to do something the Game Master will love. I'm going to ask for 2 suspend 1 momentum and 2 threat to get 2.
So you're rolling
Extra
4. I
dice.
got what you mean. Yeah.
Are we assisting or are you rolling first?
I'll roll first and then.
Yeah, I'd
just
say
do
the proper
assist.
way to do it is do the main roll before the assist, but sometimes people are very eager with the assist and they just go, boop, there you go.
So, what's the attribute?
Again, it is
Reason.
a reason medicine.
Reason medicine.
Mhm.
Good. I'm okay with reason.
You
40.
say that now.
I said okay.
And the reason.
Any
is-
focuses?
If you have anything related to xenobiology, anything related to chemistry.
I got research, but no.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think you've got a good focus here, unfortunately.
No, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm an engineer. Ooh.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's okay.
Oh.
Guess
I'm
who
gonna
didn't have their roll ready? It was me.
I would say you would have to crit here in order to succeed. Yeah, with 3, not quite enough, unfortunately.
But
So,
roll your challenge dice.
oh yeah. Well, no, that's only when you succeed.
Oh yeah,
only
right,
when you
that's right.
succeed.
So again, what I'm going to tell you is that you get a result back that it's some form of nitrium and that it has some relation to the Enterprise D, but you don't really get a concrete answer from your tricorder. In fact, maybe it's one of those things where the tricorder is almost alerting you that you should just vaporize this material and not really worry about it.
It's on the tip of my tongue. Why can't I remember?
And I'll give you this, Solaris. I'll actually offer you a point of determination if you can give me a reason why one of your values would come into play here. This wouldn't spend your determination. This would actually give you a total of 2 points of determination. And this is in relation to why you can't remember, or maybe your meticulousness, but it has to tie into a value here for me to give you this.
What are your values?
I could. Well, it's obvious that this goo does not belong here, and everything in its place, and this is clearly not in its place. This is major red flag.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, using that and also figuring out from whence it came and to where it can go and or no longer be coming from.
Gotcha. So what does that look like in character to everybody else? What does Solaris say or do to sort of exemplify that?
She's just gonna be like, just kind of pacing back and forth a little bit and be like, why can't I remember? And she has a like memory of, like you see it on a page and you can kind of visualize, because apparently she has flashcards. So she's gonna be like trying to mentally remember what on the flashcard it was. It's like, what was it? It was, I
Like you can see how long the sentences were, but you don't remember what they said.
Yeah, it's not quite eidetic memory, but it's like, along those lines. Be like, I did it in this color for this reason.
So Keela and Thriller, you see Solaris doing this. And I think even Les Ling kind of motions at Solaris and goes,
Are they all right? They appear to be distressed.
I have no idea.
Trying to what is she trying to remember? She knows something, but she doesn't remember what she knows. What did your tricorder said this stuff was?
Natrium. I remember. I remember something from from my research back when I had to do medicine, but I kind of ignored that lesson because it wasn't engineering. So,
Can Keela do like a memory check or something to see if she remembers anything about this substance now that she's read the readout?
yeah, and actually that's kind of where I was driving C4A2, driving Solaris to, sort of get them thinking in character, what they can do. So Converse, I'm actually going to message you on Discord what you would remember at this moment.
12 messages or secret.
Secret messages.
You gotta love secret messages. They're fun.
I love it. Secrecy is fun.
I've got some ideas too on how I can go about it if we need to. But I'm picturing you like the shell.
Okay. So, is this information for me to do as I will?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's gonna be like one certain place, because it's like this one certain paragraph on the card. Like, what is this? What is this? What is this? That nitrium. Okay. Okay. So what I remember, it was like nitrium parasites, and they metabolized nitrium found aboard the ship. Oh, So after that revelation, she's just like, oh, it's not going to bother me now.
He
So
will
we
be
have an
like,
infant-
I think
we have a
she
bug
figured
problem.
it out.
Okay. So we need to get to the central filtration system.
Should I keep going?
It's corrosive, so probably clean it up. Yes.
Probably, because we are in a medical ward.
Maybe we
mean-
should
Okay,
also.
Kilo will keep going.
Do they have like a sanitation, I don't know, like a beam or a ray to like general area to clean
Isolating.
up after?
Yeah, isolate them. I would think they'd have to have something. I mean, because it is a medical
Surely.
ship. So
Surely they would.
yeah. So we'll say for sake of argument, actually, that Lesline activates this, sanitizing beam and gets rid of the rest of the goo, so you don't have to stay there for the next 20 minutes. But
Can I get an equivalent of
Lesline,
a bucket to put there? Like when it leaks water, it's the equivalent of a bucket.
Catch more of it.
The
Catch
catch
more of
it
it.
just in case it leaks out more.
yeah, it's funny. Why not? Yeah, they find basically a hexagonal basin that's kind of a bucket, and
I love it.
they put it below the vent in the hopes that if any more comes out, that it will just go into the bucket. But Lesline kind of motions to all of you and says,
Very well. Please follow me very quickly. This might be a major concern.
and Lesline actually moves faster than you've seen them move so far. It's almost to the point where you have to run to keep up with them. But the good news is that when they do their wall trick again, your boots actually work this time. And I'm actually going to say, due to the speed of it, there's just a little bit of vertigo. Not enough to throw you off, but just a little bit of vertigo. But eventually, you come into a space that is more or less a closet. And you're maybe a little confused because it's quite literally like a closet for clothes. It's not even a walk-in. There's just barely enough for everybody to fit inside. And you're confused as Leslie goes and starts to tap on parts of the wall. And then the wall opens up. And what you see beyond is a spherical space. Again, not hexagonal, spherical space. In which there are numerous tubes and ventilations and basically the equivalent of a Tholian HVAC unit, which I like to imagine just involves a lot of fans, a lot of heat, etc., etc. But the main problem is that the main HVAC unit, the big sort of circular object in the middle of this space, is surrounded on all sides by that same goo as before.
Can Solaris have that moment like in Jurassic Park where it's like,
Yes, you may. You may even have one momentum for that lovely, amazing reference. I love it.
my God.
It's a lot of goo, to be fair. It is a lot of goo.
Ugh. Well, this isn't good. I'm sorry.
That was amazing. A plus.
And I think Leslie, as that all happens, kind of points at it and goes,
Well, I think that maybe describes our problem, but how did it get here in the first place?
Where was the last system you all visited?
We recently picked up patients from...
and then they have that epiphany moment where they go,
Oh, did you say that these were nitrium parasites?
Yes.
We did pick up a shipment of nitrium on that planet. Perhaps it is tainted in some way.
Okay, so we would also need to probably visit cargo holding storage after we deal with this.
Let us split forces here. Do you think you all can handle this, and I will go handle the cargo?
Just a sec. Can you just show me your scanning device to see if you can actually pick up these things?
good cat. I'm glad you remembered. So yeah, when Leslie hands over the Tholian equivalent of a tricorder and you attempt to scan the goo, it doesn't show up. But you have Starfleet tricorders and a medical tricorder that was modified for heat that you could transfer it over. Sort of the modifications.
Yep. Do that. Could reverse engineer how they do their things and then set up and modify their own device to So they have a version that works.
All right. Now, real
Yeah.
quick, looking at your momentum, it looks like you don't have any at the moment. So let's get you. Let's
I
get you
just
some.
got one.
Just got the one. All right. Give me
It's got one. No, we got none. I don't think because I've used it all.
For
I think
her
we used-
for Solaris's reference.
Yeah, for the
Oh,
for the
yeah,
Jurassic
reference,
Park
yes.
reference.
Sorry. Yeah, there, boom.
But let's try and get you some momentum here. Go ahead and give me a control and engineering difficulty of 0.
Don't
So
roll
very-
a complication.
Yeah, I'll say this would be a very bad time to roll 2 complications, which I say
Oh,
that
that'd
and
be
it's
weird.
happened already.
Can I apply reverse engineering?
Would apply. Would definitely apply.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey.
All right, there you go. That's 2 successes, 2 more momentum, and yeah. Transfer over the modification. Leslie takes it, thanks you, and scuttles off to go deal with the cargo. And as you all 3 turn to look at the sludge that is surrounding the HVAC unit, it begins to gurgle and begins to move. And that's where we're going to our 5 to 10 minute break. So we'll be back shortly, everybody. Stick around. Welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of session 5 of Star Trek Lesser Halls. If you're just joining us, well, there's a lot of goo. There's a lot of goo aboard a Tholian vessel. And apparently the goo is alive, and that's a problem because it's taking over the HVAC unit, which serves the entire Tholian vessel. So that's a problem. But to sort of, get us back into the motions, again, in this spherical space, there is a large sort of umber sphere made of dark metal that has about 20 or so conduits that lead off of it to various parts of the vessel. Surrounding the sphere itself, and a few of the conduits are sort of that reds and blues and pinks of a slime. But the slime is sentient. It is moving. And in fact, it is beginning to sort of build itself up and begin to move in the direction of you all. So, a few rules I need to say up front, just so you know. Anytime you attempt to ranged attack the goo, and that includes phaser, sonic device, whatever, your complication range is going to be 17 to 20. And the complication is, if you roll a complication, you end up damaging the HVAC unit in some way. And as a reminder, it's the HVAC unit for the entire ship.
How did like you said, we've seen this before.
Mhm.
How did they deal with the situation? I'm talking to
that is a good question. One that
yes.
you might be able to look up in your tricorder now that you all remember what it was.
Cool.
But it
Alright,
will
I'm
require a
gonna-
roll because I do want to get you a little bit of momentum here. So
Yeah.
go ahead and give me let's call this a control in engineering, or even a reason in engineering. Difficulty of 1.
I'm doing reason engineering. That's okay. Yep. Could I use my research?
I would
Skill.
give it to you, yeah.
Yay. It's my wheelhouse, people. Yeah.
There you go. That'll be enough to succeed and get you a point of momentum. So what you recall, what happened on the Enterprise D as you look it up in your tricorder, what you see is that a certain Lieutenant Commander Data basically encouraged the Nitrium parasites to go and eat an asteroid of Nitrium. And they did that by more or less channeling it through the Bassard collectors.
Okay. So it's going through the channeling. Okay. I just had a thought. The connection between the 2 ships is there's no tholium going through anything like that. I just want to make sure that it won't go to our ship first.
Well, now that you mention it, that flickering I mentioned at the top of the session.
Oh, I knew it.
Oh no. Oh,
All right,
no, no.
I'm going to alert our ship. I'm going to call it Knack. Shraz to Knack.
Go ahead. Is everything all right over there?
We have a a nitrium parasite issue on board.
And there's a pregnant pause, followed by which saying, "That would explain why life support over here has been flickering."
Oh god. All right. Are we near any heavy nitrium deposits in the area?
One moment, I will interface with the bridge. And again, there's like maybe about a minute or two, and then Knack comes back and says, I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is that yes, there is a nitrium deposit on a nearby Class D moon. However, the bad news is that by my estimates, we will get there and be entirely composed of nitrium goo at that point.
All right. Okay. We do have we have a storage container of nitrium somewhere, which we've got a Tholian going to. Sorry, if anyone else has a suggestion, let me say. I'm just rolling with my ideas right now.
Yeah, that's fine.
Can I contact Leslie from my own coordinator, or do we have to actually go find them?
I think they would have been smart enough to give you a frequency to contact them on.
Yep. Shreds to Leslie?
This is Leslie. Please go ahead.
How's the container of nitrium? Is it?
Well, it's not so much a container anymore as it is a pile of goo, but I am disposing of it.
Okay.
The only one they have?
Is there any large source of nitrium we could send out, teleport out into space, or
something
is it
I
all
can
goo right now?
break down and reform to make a new container that we can just yeet?
Well, I'm glad that somebody asked that question because, correct me if I'm wrong, Solaris, you have transporters and replicators as a focus, do you not?
I do. I also have where is it rocks into replicators, where I can break one thing down and reshape it as something else from one go.
Yep.
Ooh.
And what I would tell you there is just use some convincing technobabble, and I probably will let it happen.
Oh, let's press the button.
Yeah, I know. Hold on. Let me find it. That'll work. We're talking about heat here.
Hey.
Okay, so a quick idea is that maybe we could nullify the macroscopic thermal feed and fix the array and reshape and yeet.
I concur.
I always want to. I'm an argument guy, but if we don't boost the emergency Nadian particle grid, we're gonna have explosions. So we gotta do all that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to press the button.
And Keela, because everyone's having these revelations, Keela's gonna hop in. She's like, okay, we got it. What if we, instead of all of that, refocus the isometric thermal feed stabilizer? And then it'll be a pause.
I don't believe it's an instead of. I think it would be an after that happens, because we don't like negating things here.
If you do that, we'll have to recalibrate the multivariate spatial gradient chamber. We can't just do that.
But we can't forget rerouting our backup resonating particle coils, because if that fails, goodbye.
Yep.
Okay, and in the midst of all of that, we can get TM to modify the emergency invariant gradient grid, and we'll be set. We'll be good to go. This is a solid plan, right?
I'm proud of you teaching him how to do that.
TM could do. TM is smarter than we all realize.
Apparently.
And I think the best part of this is that you hear Knack's voice. I don't want to interrupt the moment, but time is of the essence.
Right.
Yes, but if we don't get this right, we won't have any time either. So let's go.
All right. So, there's two things here. One is basically reconstituting a nitrium source that will lure the parasites away. That's basically what all that was just involving. But the second thing is you have to keep the ooze under control until you have the quote-unquote yeet object. So who's going to be dealing with the ooze and who's going to be dealing with the formation of the nitrium?
I've got some ideas on how to deal with the ooze by leading it to non-essential places.
I need
Well, we
to-
could probably use some of the medical isolating technology as well to maybe kind of
That's true.
Mhm.
Corral it together. And I need
Corral.
to work on building something to contain it and then dispose of it.
If it's like our starships, there's going to be a lot of nitrium sources in places that I can use to make a path.
Okay.
So we don't have to shoot at it and damage things, because my shooting is not good. I'm better at punching.
I don't know if
Kilo's good
punching
at
would
shooting.
work on. Are you
I
gonna
don't
shoot?
think so. I don't want to try.
Kilo has expertise in hand weapons, so
All right. So, order of operations here. Let's do Keela, then Thriller, then Solaris in that order. So, Keela, what would you be doing?
oh. So I guess Thriller and I are trying to corral the goo.
Mhm.
But if I shoot it, I risk damaging the HVAC. I guess if is it moving at all, the goo, or is
Oh,
it just like kind of sit in place?
No,
like,
it's moving
it's
towards you,
traveling?
and it's not so much bubbling as it is beginning to extend a tendril towards your location.
Okay, so is it moving away from the HVAC, or is it just extending to
Extending
us from the HVAC? Okay, so she'll probably keep aim at the farthest edge towards them, so she wouldn't aim at like the device, but anything that would like get too close, she'd probably like nab it, be like, hey, like keep your distance, bro.
Cool.
Just so that it doesn't get them, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah. Go ahead and give me a control and security difficulty of 2. And again, the complication here is a 17 to 20.
Okay, and I have a focus, handheld energy weapons.
That you do?
Ooh, maybe I should have
Interesting.
used a momentum.
Yeah, so I'm going to say with only 1 success, I think what's going to happen is, let me check that 0. Oh, that is a complication. All right. So you do fire your phaser, but it moves out of the way, and you end up actually hitting a conduit, and now hot gases are being leaked into the space. I mean, it was already pretty hot in here, but now it's getting a lot more hard, you know. It's a sauna in here now. But if that wasn't bad enough, the ooze gets to go before Thriller does. And the ooze is going to whip the tendril and fling goo towards all of you. So, I'm going to just roll once for each of you. So let me do it this way. 2d20.
Put my matrix glasses back on and then just matrix out of the way, like.
All right. Looks like a 30 and a 14. So, Keela, you're fine. A 9 and a 19. Thriller, you're fine. Solaris, you apparently are our lucky winner here, unfortunately. So, I'm going to then go ahead and roll this. You're going to take 3 stress of damage, and your suit will become not fully compromised, but almost compromised, meaning that if you take another hit like that, you will lose your suit.
Duct tape.
Duct tape works at this temperature. Duct tape
Duct
works
tape
everywhere.
works for everything.
That or flex tape. Maybe flex tape is what it is. Works on everything.
Oh, because we're not sponsored.
Ah, there you go. Fair argument. All right. Well, as goo splatters on the
tape.
wall behind you all, Thriller, it's now your turn.
All right. I want to adapt. I want to basically start leading it to a non-essential system, like away from that, so pile it up. But is there any way I can make it so that the other part is less tasty? Like,
Yeah, I would say if you want to give me a daring engineering difficulty of 3, I think it's possible.
all right, I got my momentum. I'm going to use one.
Yes, use one.
Not that lesson. Daring engineering.
Now, do you only want to use the 1, or do you want to use 3? You want to give me threat?
What's the challenge? Oh, it's 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's difficulty of 3.
You know what? I'm gonna use it.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, and do I have anything I can use? Probably not. I don't have any. I got transporters and replicators.
Oh, you too?
I
What
think
up?
you could apply those here.
Okay. I thought it was good with holo engineering because the holographics is a lot of transporting and replicating.
Nice.
Actually, now that I think about it,
Oh!
okay, so you are gonna succeed. I have an idea, and I think you're gonna love it.
Okay.
So-
Roll his untapped potential.
Yeah, let's
Because
roll
you
your
succeeded.
untapped potential because you did succeed. So let's see if you get any momentum.
I've been very lucky with these lately. Yep, there we go.
Oh,
Just
no,
as
I
lucky.
get threat.
Nice.
All
No,
right.
he gets threat. Darn it.
All
I was
right.
being sarcastic when I was saying I was lucky.
So feel free to walk this back because that's actually 2 complications when I looked at it. But feel free to walk this back. You know that holographic project you were working on at the top of the episode?
Yep.
You think to yourself, if I use that and made it look like a nitrium lollipop. So you basically bring your program over, you project it from your suit, and it starts to work. You start leading away the goo towards a non-essential system. However, complication 1. Something in the transfer process means that your holo program is now centered on your suit, which means if anything happens to your suit, you lose the program.
Yep.
Complication 2 is that it doesn't look like a nitrium deposit, like a rock or a boulder or, you know, sort of a shiny metal. It's literally just still you, but now you're made of living metal. You are the T-1000.
It just keeps repeating. What is your engineering emergency? What is your engineering emergency? What is your engineering emergency?
Not terrifying at all.
Right?
I am.
Ugh.
Yep. I can't get that thing hologram fixed. All right, I'm gonna try leading it.
All right. Well, again, you did succeed, so you are able to lead it away and buy some time. We now come to Solaris.
Okay. So I need to find something that I can repurpose and reconstruct. And then hopefully team up with Thriller to have coordinates to yeet.
Now, what I would tell you is you have not just the Tholian ship, but also the Phoenix from which you could draw spare things from.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be, you know, quote unquote 100% canon. If you just think something sounds good, go for it.
How big does this container need to be? Because this is a big sphere and we already hoovered up some of the other goo.
I
I'm
would
just
say
thinking
that
about, like, what I could break down.
I would say to get a nitrium bait, that would be sufficient enough for this parasite. You're looking at maybe a 2 meter by 2 meter or 2 by 2 by 2 cube, more or less.
What could I use? I'm sure Solaris knows what she could use, but unfortunately her player does not.
Well, it's also something where you could just literally make up something, and as long as it sounds good, we'll roll with it.
Some of our spare canisters that we had in weapons holding.
I tell you what, I will let you repurpose a photon torpedo.
Excellent.
Now, there's a
But-
catch to that, though.
Yeah.
You will be down 1 photon torpedo, and Baker might not be happy with that, but that's a Baker problem, not a you problem. Because
I mean,
I don't
in
think
lieu
this...
of parasites, I think we'll be fine.
That's true, as opposed to us becoming goo.
All
I'm
right.
sure I can talk my
Losing
way
life
out of that
support
later.
on our ship.
Yeah.
Might be something you want to fix. All right. So, Solaris, Baker, you know, there's a quick conversation with Baker.
Yeah.
He gives you the torpedo. So I'm going to need you to roll me a daring engineering. This will be a difficulty of 4. So you may wish to spend momentum or threat, or I should say, you may wish to use one of your points of determination. Because remember, you've got 2 right now.
Oh, right.
Okay. Does using my talent Does that give me something?
It does indeed. And let me actually
Okay.
look up the rules on that to make sure I give you the correct thing. You said you had rocks and replicators, yes?
Yes.
All right. It actually says that you get to do this for free. It's actually not a roll. So, yeah, I guess no roll required then.
Oh. Okay.
It just has a complication range increase of 2. And... okay, it actually stops working. No, it actually continues working. It's okay, interesting. All right, so as you repurpose the photon torpedo, fill it with nitrium, get it to be a perfect bait. We're going to roll back around to Keela. And Keela, what are you doing at this point? The ooze is kind of following the metallic thriller hologram, and Solaris is working on a torpedo behind you, but what are you doing during all of this?
So the goo has moved then from its location.
Some of it, yes. I would say about 60% of it has moved from the core.
Okay. What she would be doing? I would like to say that she's still like keeping it, but with the phaser. But I mean, she hit a hose, so she kind of doesn't want to do that again.
Yeah, neither. I don't want you to do that either.
Yeah, we don't want to make it hotter. Maybe just assisting Thriller with keeping it going.
Okay. Then what I will say is that on Thriller's next roll, you will be able to assist him.
Okay.
All right. So remember, between you and Thriller is the ooze, and while the ooze is kind of going for the bait, it is kind of still ornery. So again, I'm going to roll for all 3 of you, and let's see what happens. All right, well, again, Keela, you're fine. Thriller... okay, so Thriller, you're going to be our lucky winner today. So what I would tell you is remember that complication? It only triggers if you would feature an injury. So you do not want to see me roll 5 on this total, which I just did. Good job, me. Good job. Yeah.
Good job.
All right. So what I'm going to say is you actually have a choice here, Thriller. You can either take an injury yourself, or you can sacrifice the bait program completely, meaning you'd have to start from scratch.
I'll take the injury.
Injury. Okay. Then I'm going to let you be the final arbiter of how far this goes, but this is a compromise of your suit, meaning that you're going to be exposed to super hot gases, and you are an Endorian. So I would say some form of burn, some form of scar. Again, you're the final arbiter of it, but we can figure that out between sessions. But for the moment, you're going to be in a lot of pain. And it's enough pain that you either now need to spend 2 momentum or 2 threat to remain active. Because if you don't, technically you are out of this combat scenario.
And the threat.
Yeah, you're learning the better Andorian swear words now.
The better ones.
The ones we use in private. No.
New flashcard.
I'll take the 2 threat.
Take 2 threat. All right.
Yeah, I should stay in battle.
All right. So as the goose splatters across the Thriller's suit, you feel and see the sizzle. And again, Thriller is using all sorts of swear words. But it is now Thriller's turn.
Yep. Clenching through the pain. Okay, so led most of it away. I'm leading most of it away. There's still some left. I don't need to lead it somewhere specific yet. I just need to get it away from the big devices. Is there some way I can... because at the moment I'm leading it away, but I haven't tainted the food source in any way. Like I was thinking, could I taint the food source there so that they'll try to leave that and come follow me the rest of it?
I could say you could do that using your Dyson vacuum, your sonic manipulator. I think that's something you could do.
Okay.
And that would be a control engineering difficulty of 3.
Control.
And I got an assistant this time, so
Yeah, you do get
Yes.
Keela to assist you.
Yay.
yeah. Control engineering. Can I use the last momentum, or do we want to keep it for a situation? I mean, we could always use threat.
Maybe we'll get more back.
Yeah, okay, I'll use it.
Use it.
Is it? Yeah.
Use it.
We don't want you to die.
Use the threat.
Yeah.
So 3. And is there any focus I can use on this?
I'll give you one. Yeah, you would have a focus. There's a few focuses that would apply here.
Excellent.
Would I also have a focus?
You would. And all you have to do, Keela, is not roll a complication. That's all you have to do. Not a 20.
Escape and evade.
What was it again?
It is control and engineering. And you're rolling
Control
1 die for the
engineering.
assist.
And a focus.
There you go. 4
Hey.
successes, meaning you get
Oh
the
yeah,
momentum
I get
right
to roll a
back.
challenge dice too.
Yep, you do get
Yeah.
to roll a challenge dice to see if... no help there.
Well, we just get the one.
So yeah, using the sonic manipulator, you basically resonate the HVAC core in a way that disturbs the ooze and encourages it to move away. And the good news is that with Keela's assistance, that you are able to do so. That now the HVAC core is no longer being consumed by the ooze, which
Nice.
now leads
even-
to. Oh, go ahead.
And even better, I've disabled the audio of the hologram.
There you go.
Even better.
We now move to Solaris. Solaris, you have something that, when deployed correctly, will lead the parasites away from not just the Tholian vessel, but from your vessel, the Phoenix, as well. So how would
Okay.
you like to deploy this, for lack of a better term, this nitrium bait torpedo?
Going to go for the transporter again and beam it off of that.
So I'm actually going to spend 2 threat here. Jensen comes back and says, yeah, they're kind of in the transporters now, so sorry. If it's any consolation, they also got into the mess hall, so we're going to have to eat like slop for the next week.
No,
I guess
I
that's
will
not
make
really-
a note
Putting it
to
off.
fix that. I'll fix that too. I'll work on that too. Okay, so how else do you get off of a ship? Down to the. Do they have a shuttle bay? Surely they should to get off.
They do. They have a
They
shuttle
can't
bay. They have
transport.
airlocks.
Okay. Is an airlock big enough to fit an entire torpedo?
So you remember, you may know that one scene in what is it, Doctor Strangelove? You know, where they're riding the A-bomb down. I'm not saying you have to ride the torpedo, but you could do something very similar where you just kind of kick it out into space.
I don't understand that reference.
Oh, you
but-
don't understand?
Oh.
I'll show you after the
No.
stream. But basically,
Okay.
what I'm saying is you could take it to an airlock and just push it out and then send the torpedo out to, cause an explosion, which will attract the parasites.
Mhm.
The only caveat is you have to move the torpedo. Or you and whoever you can convince to help you that isn't Keela and Thriller, who are consumed at the moment. You have to move the torpedo.
Surely
Well-
I can negotiate with the Tholian who's been helping us to
Leslie.
help.
With
Leslie
Leslie.
to- yeah, Leslie to help get it out.
Yeah, I think you could. So,
Okay.
here's what's going to happen. This is going to be a fitness and engineering. The
Alrighty.
difficulty will be a 3.
Oh no.
Use the momentum.
Use the momentum.
Yes.
We are in agreement.
Engineering.
But I
Um,
so now I'll be probably leading the guy to that, like the thing.
Can
to
I
that
use my
bay
focus
too,
of
right?
negotiation for Leslie to help get it out of
I'll
here?
let it happen, sure.
Okay. So 3 dice and yes, a focus. Ugh.
Okay. All right. So Leslie has to assist you here, which they do with a 7. So
Yay!
Leslie comes back into the apartment and at your lead takes one side of the torpedo, you take the other. You lift with your legs, not your back, and you move as quickly as you can through to an airlock. You put the torpedo down in the airlock. You cycle it so that the exterior opens up into space. Push a few buttons on the torpedo. Torpedo goes sailing out at impulse speeds away from the 2 ships.
Okay.
When do you want to
Um,
detonate it is the question.
It needs to be far enough from the two ships. Well, it needs to be, it's like a fine line between close enough that the ooze will pick up on it, but then far enough away that we won't get too much of a like a wave of
Bad stuff.
whatever.
Bad stuff. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I tell you what, I'll let you
Well-
resolve this in one of two ways. You can either roll a challenge die, or you can roll a d20 against your insight and engineering.
Does she still need to roll on tap potential?
Oh yeah, so you did succeed. Rolled on tap potential first, because that could get you something.
And that's a challenge dice?
Yep, that's
Yeah,
a challenge
just one.
die. Hey, you actually get 2 momentum back. Very nice.
Ooh.
Actually, you know what? Now that you have momentum to spare, if you want to give me the 2 momentum to create the advantage that, yeah, you get it to the exact perfect distance, bam, that can happen.
Do y'all want
You can,
that?
you can
Yeah,
roll. If
I'm
you really
okay
want
with
to.
that.
Yeah.
All right.
Is
Take
it?
it away.
All right.
Put it in.
So you time it so perfectly, Solaris, that it detonates just on the edge of where the parasite would pick it up, and just enough that it is easily handled by the shields of both ships. But what you see, because you have a view of the exterior, is you see kind of a cloud of misty, sort of sparkling particles that sort of stream away from both ships towards the explosion.
It tried to get us, but it missed.
And I think Leslie kind of looks over at you, Solaris, and goes, "Well,
Thank you. That's problem 1, but we have a few more. Probably not as important as that one, but
Yes, we do need to put in the new filter. And there was more?
well, I don't know if it's a problem with us or a problem with the Tholian in question, but for some reason they are speaking in a dialect we do not understand.
Okay, so sounds like a translator problem.
That is our hope, anyway.
Okay. Okay, well hopefully that shouldn't be too big of a deal.
I hear this solely.
And yeah. So what I would say is, because I'm looking at time and how much we got left, I'm thinking that there's another maybe hour and a half, so we can push if you guys want, or we can just make this a 2-parter. What do you guys prefer?
I'm fine.
I
but
like
what's
My first instinct is say 2-parter.
2-parter? Okay. Well, the only reason I would say a 2-parter might be beneficial is it would let you research translation devices and things of that nature. It would also kind of give you a sort of a bookend where you've resolved problem 1, and now you have the cadence to move on to problem 2 and 3. So yeah, let's do that then. Let's make this a 2-parter. Yeah, let's make this a 2-parter. All right. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed. Again, we'll be back next week, knock on wood. This is where the YouTube recording is going to end, but Twitch, stick around because we're going to raid somebody.